All right. Morning, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for a Legacy High Tide stream. This one is sponsored by Liam H. And apologies, Liam, that it took so long to get to this one. You ended up getting bumped behind the brew contest builds. That was not something I originally had planned when I took the donation, but life happens. But here we are. We're finally getting around to Legacy High Tide. So, Liam submitted a build previously that had Sphinx of the final word, a flying hex-proof, uncounterable 5/5, that I believe won us a game or two, but was kind of questionable. The High Tide list that I played previously had some issues, very notably. It had, I believe, two Cunning Wishes, so like we couldn't Intuition for Cunning Wish, and there were a couple of situations where like we literally couldn't win because like we didn't have access to a win condition because we had already used the Cunning Wishes. Some strange things occurred last time that we played this deck. So we have a slightly updated deck list today, and we'll see how it shakes out. I am not going to do an extended deck tech on this deck today. Magic Online goes down for maintenance in about 3 hours, so I just want to make sure that we get through the league before that happens. Although I am going to take 1 second to highlight a couple of sideboard cards that you all might know. Narset's Reversal in here, which is copy target instant or sorcery spell, then return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. So I guess this gets kind of interesting with your own high tides, right? So like you cast a high tide, return it back to your hand, and like you net high tides out of that scenario. Um, Otherwise, I don't know exactly what this is going to do. It can do some really weird things in counterspell battles. The other uncommon card here is Archmage's Charm, which you get to choose one. You either counterspell, divination, or gain control of target non-land permanent with CMC 1 or less. With that said, we're just gonna hop into a league to make sure that we finish here. Oh, I see. Just like all the premier stuff is not listed, which is why it looks weird. Legacy League, High Tide, yes. Let's go. Hope you all are doing well this morning. I just suffered a devastating loss in Monster Train. I needed one more Pyre Health, literally one more Pyre Health, in order to get my first Covenant 25-5 win streak in a row, and that feels bad. I had just an absolutely broken deck going into the final fight, and I had like the worst case scenarios happen both on turn one and turn two, and I still managed to almost win because the deck was so good. Okay, we're potentially playing against Reanimator. Uh, Keep? We have a Time Spiral which works as Grave Hate. Okay, still true. This is terrifying. I die to a Brainstorm Lock next turn. Opponent's graveyard isn't all that impressive yet. Interesting that they're playing Dryad Arbor. I guess it's fine to help bring back Hogak, actually. I take it back. A lot of pressure. Probably dead in 2 turns. Means I have to try to go off next turn. Taking 11. So assuming that I hit a land, next turn I have High Tide, Turnabout, High Tide, Time Spiral. Not bad. Guess I'm brainstorming now. Try to find the third land. Okay, I did find the third land. I'll hide the Time Spiral on top, play a land, pass the turn, and I'll see if I'm dead. There are definitely like some Altar of Dementia situations that might just kill me here. This is another Hogak just to make a bonus zombie here. Hogak with Vigilance, better than Hogak with not Vigilance. So we're gonna untap some lands. I think I just save this mana though, rather than like trying to do something with Predict. So I have 3 High Tides going. Merchant Scroll can be used after a Ponder or Brainstorm for a shuffle. I'm going to Ponder first. Sphinx of the Final Word is not going to save me from lethal. Three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that is not going to save me from lethal. I think I will take the Turnabout though. I think I'll Merchant Scroll here. My opponent only has 36 cards in library. Do I just win already? Via mill? Storm count of 12 is, I believe, lethal. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I think I'm already gonna win via Cunning Wish. Merchant Scroll High Tide. Please tapping for again. 5, 4. 4, 8, 9 mana. Merchant Scroll High Tide costs me 3 total mana. Yeah. Yeah, target player mills 3. This mills 39 as of right now. Neat. Got there. Did not expect to get a turn 3. I'll board in both surgicals. I would like to draw those. Age can stop Bloodghasts from coming back. Can stop Hogaaks from graveyards. This will be okay. Does not seem like I need Pact of Negation. I don't know how much time I actually get to predict. Like, it kind of feels like I just need to have it and go quickly. Maybe I'm trimming on those. I think I'm still good with keeping Force of Wills. Like, I still want to be able to stop, like, a Hogak or an Altar of Dementia, potentially. And there's also some times where, like, I'd be willing to force a Hedron Crab or something like that, depending on what my hand looks like. Does Sphinx really do anything here? That's a good question. Probably not. I will agree with that. And um so the previous one lander that I kept had multiple high tides. This one lander is like perhaps a little bit questionable. Like right now I'm looking for quite a bit. I think I'm just gonna mulligan this one for something that doesn't have to look for lands. Oh baby. Oh baby. I'm in. I'm gonna get rid of the Cunning Wish since it's the most expensive card in my hand. Boo! Cage was gonna be so good. Looking for lands here. It's a land. It's what I want. It's not the land I want, but it does things. I don't want to let that resolve and then surgical something important from their deck. But it's possible that's a mistake and I should just, like, stop this. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna stop this. Those are great things to surgical. Is there anything that punishes me for draw step surgical? Oh? Actually, I don't even need to draw step surgical, right? Like, they can't possibly cast a Hogak yet. Yeah, I think I'll just slow my roll here. So now, does a second Dryad Arbor punish me? So second Dryad Arbor is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, second Dryad Arbor does not punish that yet. So I can still sit on the surgical. Because there's worlds where I just end up surgicaling Bridge from Below this game. Well, therapy wouldn't be bad. I'd just cast the surgical in response to therapy. If I draw a land, would I time spiral? Probably. Not 100%, but probably. Um, in that case, maybe I want a surgical here. Just kind of like see what my opponent is sitting on. Bridge from Below and Bayou. Opponent has boarded basically nothing versus me. Do I brainstorm? No, I think I hold this brainstorm so that I can put my good cards back. And then maybe brainstorm on their turn. I don't know. Like I can brainstorm into ponder and like start doing some things that actually help me to set up and try to win. I'm not in any hurry. I feel like very, very favored to win this game. Yeah. What do we merchant scroll for? Turnabout? Brainstorm, look for land, find turnabout off merchant scroll, using that as the shuffle. And also just take second high tide, high tide, high tide, time spiral. If I take high tide, I'm super soft to a therapy off the top. Just gonna take the high tide here. Seems like unless my opponent gets therapy or Thoughtseize, this is almost always going to lead to a win, I think. Like I can fizzle, but seems real strong. This is so much mana. Like, holy crap. I am aware that I have a land drop. I don't need to use it yet. I maybe want to like use it to fetch. I need to get to 15 to kill. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Assume that I hit something to cast off one of the two cantrips. Should be good. I would not recommend playing this deck for any event that you care about. No offense to High Tide or anything, but there's a there's probably a reason why it isn't a tier 1 deck. Like it has non-deterministic lines, which is kind of sketchy. And like if you're playing a non-deterministic combo deck that wants to win like as late as possible in a format where like Rug Delver is as good as it is and it gets to run, what are they running, 11 free counter spells plus some other soft permission beyond that. So like for example, this is a perfectly reasonable hand to keep with this deck, right? But this hand also does nothing, right? Like I do not interact with what my opponent is doing at all with a hand like this one. So that's probably not a good thing. Uh, I'm willing to keep a land in a time spiral here. I may even keep the counterspell below it, depending on what my opponent does. Those are protection cards. Guess I'm good with all of this. Like, assume this game goes very slowly. No, I don't want to play the fetch there, because I want to save the fetch for this brainstorm later. So that's fine. Opponent is doing like slow, clunky control stuff, and I get to sculpt my hand and then like attempt to go off when I have 3 or 4 counter spells and 7 lands. We can talk. Yeah, I was gonna say like single white. What? The awkward part here is that if my opponent can turbo out this Uro, I'm like very much not good at dealing with it currently. This is probably the point where it's okay to brainstorm. Yep. Sphinx? No, I don't think so. Well, as it is, it does not race this Uro. Oh yeah, Cartesian. I don't disagree with you. This deck is like trying to win like on the turn right before you die, right? Like it's not like absolute last minute like reset high tide is, but that's the general game plan. Uh, this is awkward. I guess I don't care. But like that's a singular card that just wins the game on its own. But I think my plan is to like find high tide and then like go off with 2 to 3 pieces of backup. I have to ignore this. The most awkward thing here is that like we're on a time spiral based hand when time spiral can draw my opponent into disruption that matters. Brainstorm's a really awkward draw. Because I was kind of thinking about just like casting a time spiral. And using turnabout to muck with my opponent's lands prior to doing that. But that brainstorm is totally a game changer. But if I cast this brainstorm, then I lose access to like fetch, turnabout your lands, fetch Mystic Sanctuary, put turnabout back on top. Eh. I guess I'm waiting now. Oh wow, those are cards. Wow, 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 wow. I have High Tide, Turnabout, Time Spiral this turn with 2 pieces of Disruption available. Do I do I wait? Do I do I go? It feels kind of like I'm going. I kind of hope my opponent doesn't have Veil of Summer main deck. They have 4. I don't know if it's correct to go this turn. I think I wait. The next, like I can turn about them, then I go High Tide, Merchant Scroll, Turnabout, untap, time spiral. I give them another chance to like cantrip and stuff. I think I'm just gonna pass. I would love for them to use that fetch land. I don't really have anything in graveyard that I want back right now. I'm just gonna save those Mystic Sanctuaries in the deck for if something goes wrong. Alright. Here we go. High Tide has resolved. I guess another High Tide is just better, huh? Because it makes my post time spiral mana count higher. I have 7 mana available. That's Cunning Wish for Turnabout, untap all my lands, and go into Time Spiral with even more. Yeah, 7. Let me just confirm that I do have one of those. I do. I have all of the mana in the world. I haven't fetched yet either, which is cool. Eh. Um, hmm. Take the preordain and then shuffle. I think so. an all Mystic Sanctuary, put a Predict on top. Yes. Here all Brainstorm. Put Flooded Strand on top. Draw the Misty and one unknown card. I mean, I am in danger of fizzling, I guess. I have all the mana in the world, but nothing to do with it yet. Alright. There's the safety net. I'm hoping not to cast that, though. But if I whiff here, I have to cast it. I probably don't need to cast it anymore. Arius, thank you very much for the continued support. Know you love this sort of thing. Oh, do I really not have another? Oh no, there they are. Gonna say. Very nice. Took a lot of my clock, though. Thanks to the final word, it's like really awkward against like Oko Uro. I don't think this is like the finisher that it might have been in previous worlds. I have no idea how to sideboard. Just actual factual, no idea what I should do here. Like I can pull a high tide for surgical extraction reasons from the other side of the battlefield. I know that's something that you're often supposed to do. Like I can board in some counter spells like Flusterstorm. Veil just seems like obnoxious, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do against it. Assume that I want that. Narcit's Reversal is really interesting. Does very weird things in counterspell battles. But when I don't really know what I'm doing, I think I'm just gonna like trim a land since I expect the matchup to go very long and call that good. In an effort to not blow my clock, I'm also gonna just like F6 through most of my opponent's turns, unless I have something that I might reasonably respond with. Um, am I ready to brainstorm? Could be ready to brainstorm. I don't think I'm ready to brainstorm. I don't see myself going off for a while. These are pretty good. I think I'm just like good with everything that is here. I'm just gonna do that, play a preordain, go top top, play land 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then decide whether or not I want that other time spiral based on what happens on my opponent's turn. Hmm. I wonder if I can make my opponent crack their spell bomb here by trying to get a merchant scroll back. That's maybe worth trying. Nice. Am I going? Might have to discard if I don't go, but they have like no pressure. Like high tide, one floating, have 7 total mana. That's Time Spiral with Bluster Storm or Sand Pact. I don't really want to discard. Yeah, let's go. I have a second Time Spiral for if stuff doesn't work out. Yeah. Force of Will pitching Merchant Scroll is probably going to be my play here. It's just slightly awkward because, like, a lot of Merchant Scrolls are in exile right now. This will be the third Merchant Scroll in exile. But I'm going to, like, play as safe as possible here. Well, it kind of tapped out, right? Alright, if your last card is Veil of Summer, like, you get to fucking get me, and there's nothing I can do. How much are these tapping for? 6, they're tapping for 4. So 4, 8, 12, 13, 14. Like a fine opportunity to do this. Or I guess I want to ponder first. Cunning Wish. 6 total mana. Cunning Wish for Brain Freeze. Mills most of their cards? I assume this kills, either actually or effectively. Did resolve a pact. Oh, this is already lethal, isn't it? 15 times 3, 45. Yeah, this is already lethal. And my stuff can't be countered. Sphinx is just for flexing. How muscly is that Sphinx? Unsure if for flexing. Actually, it's pretty muscly. Yeah, it's for flexing. We're off to a really good start. I think the Sphinxes are a little bit questionable, but IDK. I don't know. I assume if you're like sitting there guarding like treasure, just asking people riddles, waiting for people to come talk to you, you can do a lot of. Are they push-ups? They still like push-ups if you're a four-legged creature, or are they like squats at that point? Unclear. Edits, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for the clarification. This hand looks sweet. My opponent's playing Delver, which it doesn't look like. I'll want some disruption. In fact, question mark? Maverick, question mark? Feels like Maverick if they fetch Forest. Uh, Do I want to predict next turn? Oh, no, I can't really because of the Flooded Strand, huh? Ponder? Pick Ponder and Brainstorm from this. I mean, we probably get immediate clarification this turn as to what archetype our opponent is on. Yeah, seems like Maverick. All I need to do is make land drops and I should be good. Let's ponder and specifically dig for land. Yikes. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Tell this story every once in a while. Was at a Star City Open relatively late in the tournament. We're talking like round 6 or something like that. It's late-ish in the tournament. I'm doing pretty well. I think I'm in the X1 bracket. I'm like either XO or X1, something like that. And I get paired against one of the Hatfields. And I don't know what they're playing. The end result is me losing the match to Natural Order for Progenitus, followed by Temporal Mastery. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Okay, good. Predict is not great. I'm about to fetch. Go back, probably predict Cunning Wish, and then try to go off next turn. I draw a land. I'm obviously no expert either. All I know is island taps for you. Another high tide? Another high tide makes it like very easy to go off if I draw a land. Get another high tide. Neville Shoot, thank you very much for following. And Chris, hello. The luck is appreciated. Yep, the jig is indeed up, but they have like 2 Thalias left in their deck that I care about, and 1 Teague. Teague's not always main deck anymore either. Well, with 2 high tides, the third island taps for 3, so I'd have to go like high tide turnabout, high tide time spiral. Like a questing beast that's just gonna hit me for 5. That's totally fine. Oh, I'd have one left over from the second land tap. Oh yeah, you're right. This is sort of an awkward set of cards, huh? I need a lot more storm than what I have for brain freeze to be a thing. Merchant scroll for turnabout. Play land, turnabout, Cunning Wish, brain freeze. Think. Oh god, I clicked on brain freeze, not blue sun. Shit. Hmm. All right, so brain freeze is in the deck, and I've drawn time spiral. The plan has changed. Oh, I just found the brain freeze again. Yeah, I can take that. Let's go. Put Misty on top. Have the brain freeze. Just need to cast a couple more spells randomly. And we needed 16 storm, and I have it. This is a mistake on their end. They're showing me like literally their entire deck. Yeah, fine, Andy, but the mana could have been relevant later. Like, I know I had buttloads of mana, but like, I don't think I need to look at a couple of cards when I know that I'm going to like probably kill them, but the mana might be relevant if I have to like blue sun myself at some point. Okay, so opponent is playing Junk Maverick. Notably, they have no main deck Teague. They have a Collector Oof that I don't care about. They have a couple of Kaios that I don't care about. As far as cards that I care about in their main deck, they have 3 Thalias. Does this bounce? Gain control of your noble hierarch. Yeah, they'll have some other hate bears. Like they're soft to combo in game 1, so like they'll compensate for it. Thing is, I think I leave the wipe away in the sideboard to just get with Cunning Wish. Yeah, I don't really think I'm sideboarding. I think I'm just like good. I'll leave both of my bounce answers in the sideboard, and I don't know, like board in the turnabout. Since I'm probably Cunning Wishing for answers to hate bears most of the time. I have Force of Will for the first large green sun, or like Thalia or whatever. So this is probably fine. Yeah. I'm not gonna board out a high tide for surgical reasons. I don't think I need to sideboard much in this matchup. Seems like it resolves the clock, but about the worst that it can search up is Bojuka Bog. I think I'm fine with that. I just fetched one of those away. I don't super want to brainstorm here because I don't want to get brainstorm locked. I wonder if I should just use my mana in this turn cycle to just Cunning Wish for wipe away. I'm on the side of the dollar signs. What people pay me to play, I play. I kind of want to brainstorm this turn, I'm not gonna lie. Like, hitting fetch land or another cantrip is totally fine, but like, I just need to find High Tide. Yeah, this is fine. Alright, so we have High Tide Time Spiral as soon as next turn, with Force of Will back up. I don't like it when my opponent stops to think. It means I have choices. Hmm. This is an interesting line. Wrong. I have Cunning Wish for Wipe Away, so like, this isn't the end of the world. Sure. This is a decent amount of pressure now to the point where I'm not scared, but cognizant of my life total. Actually, I might just be mathematically dead. Yeah. So this means that I am taking 11 this turn, which means the Flooded Strand is off. I don't have like a Chain of Aver, do I? No. Yeah, I think I'm mathematically dead. High Tide, Cunning Wish, one floating. Well, no, I'm not. High Tide, Cunning Wish, one floating, Fetch. Kill this, rip a new high tide. This only works if opponent forgets to play the high tide post combat. Just by the way, they have the right colors available to recast it, so I can hit this instead. And I guess that buys me time, but then I don't know how I win. I think I'm playing towards my opponent forgetting to play Teague post combat. But like, I have one good answer to that Teague, and I just use it here. I know this is like playing very obviously into something that's bad for me, but okay. Awkward. Now that I'm on the play, I like Grafter's Cage. I didn't super like it on the draw, but on the play where I have a greater chance of shutting off Green Sun for Teague, I think this is totally reasonable. I don't think I like Intuition here. My opponent's mucking with my graveyard a little bit. And my opponent also could have Veil of Summer. I think I'm going to trim one of those and trim a Predict. Yeah, absolutely. The game would have gone differently if we countered Knight, but I don't think I ever counter that Knight. I'm fine with keeping the Sphinx as a backup win condition. Like, there are going to be times where my opponent gets one or multiple hate bears in play or something like a Deafening Silence that I'm going to have trouble beating. And just having access to a big, stupid 5/5 flyer that can't be killed is fine. This is probably a Brainstorm, then Ponder turn. I don't think this Predict is particularly great. I don't think I'm ready for Turnabout yet. Yeah, we recorded the next episode of Eternal Glory last night. I think it's going to be pretty good. A bit of an interesting topic. The topic is going to be missed shots, as in what things did we think based on like logic and reasoning were going to be good and then like didn't end up being good, and like why is that? What did we miss out on? You know, that sort of stuff. This is a game where I'm probably going to like try to just beat the Thalia with the Thalia in play with multiple high tides. Force of Will's kind of weird. I don't think I want it. I mean, the Dino Stompy deck is cited as an example that works. For a very narrow window, that deck was actually reasonable. That's a really fun deck. The Dino Stompy or Green Stompy deck did some really interesting and powerful things. Was a was a brief window where just like the number of must counter cards in it was such that decks really had a hard time dealing with everything that you were throwing at them. And the pro blue was like amazingly good against a lot of things like Baleful Strix and Oko and Icefang Coatl that people were playing. But we're not there anymore. I can Cunning Wish for a removal spell in this turn cycle. I can Brainstorm. I'm not under a ton of pressure yet, but I am in under enough pressure that like I do want to think about like actually trying to win the game. This is a wastelandable island, which isn't the best, but I can't Brainstorm and Cunning Wish in the same turn cycle here, so I think I just Cunning Wish. Kona is just letting me do that. No, I didn't actually want to put that on top of my library, thank you. But good call. Also, like, how nice would Snap be? I found a wasteland, that's annoying. It's actually very good. I don't think I get to just go for it yet. Especially now, given the wasteland. Like, I need second High Tide. In order to be netting mana. Right now I'm just like breaking even. That's fine. My life is so much easier with a snap. I might be dead if they have another creature. Free power is the sweet point where I have trouble. No, I don't think this deck would want Dismember in the side. Whoever just followed, thank you very much for following. My clock's getting a little low, so I'm not going to like tab in and out to check who it was, but it's very much appreciated. Okay. Glad we didn't lose to something like a questing beast there. Okay. High tide, one. High tide. All right, I should just doing this. Like I'm going off this turn. I'm gonna start casting spells. I don't need to think too hard about it. So this is the 3/6 that I need for Time Spiral, so it's safe to just go ahead and brainstorm here. Um, Try to save it, which is interesting. And try to save it and force them to use a green mana, making it less likely that they can Veil after I Time Spiral. Or that they get to eat fewer things. think I'm good with that. Please tap for 3. High tide. High tide. Time spiral. If they veil, we win with the Sphinxes. Oh man, imagine like putting yourself into a situation where you can't cast Veil. I have like infinite mana. I probably just win by milling my opponent out at this point. Start with 16. Should be pretty easy. I just take this in case I fizzle. They're tapping for like 4, 4, 8, 12, 16. I think I take this in case something goes wrong. How much does tap for? 5. Yeah, it costs 2 lands to do that. That's totally fine. Lol, 2 of them. I'm pretty sure I kill this turn, so I'm not going to take the second one. That's a Cunning Wish and a Merchant Scroll. Believe that'll end up doing things. $11, 12, 13, 14. I wish Brain Freeze, just take like a Brainstorm here. Yeah, I don't need to cast up more, though. Like, if the only way that I lose is to timing out, why cast another spell? Good stuff. 3-0. I have like an hour and a half to do 2 matches, which is okay. I'm going to be cutting things a little closer than I'd like. I'll try to run to the restroom while I queue. I think this hand's bad. Well, I don't know how much my Green Sun, or my Grafdigger's Cage did last match, right? So, like, opponent might have kept a hand with 2 Green Suns or something like that I shut off. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm so dead. So dead. Alright. Not even mad. Also, like, something something, where's my fucking snap? God, I want to snap in the sideboard so bad. Like, take some of this cute crap out. Give me snap. Alright, that's hilarious. Token has CMC 0, you can steal it. We'll board that in. We'll just draw that. Yes? Compared against Turbo Depths. I don't really think that I want to mulligan much against this deck, despite the fact that they're like a fast combo deck, because they also just have a bunch of disruption. Yeah, our opponent went Petal, Petal, Depths, Hex Mage on turn one. It was pretty sexy. Oh man, I am like so going to pretend to be Miracles. What's his name? Like Shark Typhoon? Be good with that. Nice! I think I'm Miracles. I still look like fucking Miracles. Um, but now I think I stop looking like Miracles, right? So Merchant Scroll for Turnabout this turn. Then next turn go High Tide, Turnabout, Sphinx. Just shove this beefy boy down my opponent's throat and see what happens. I don't know if the Sphinx is going to clock fast enough to win this. Hmm. I'm dead to a Spirit Guide. Is there any way that I beat Spirit Guide? While also just like planning to beat them, just going land Merit Lodge next turn. I also just wonder if I can combo off. I wasn't really planning on that, but uh, I need 6 mana in order to beat Merit Lodge this turn. I I can just like pass with after fetching with Mystic Sanctuary. Merchant Scroll not being an instant here is a little rough. No, we boarded in the charm, which is like the issue. So to beat Spirit Guide, I just leave up Cunning Wish for big scary spell. No, Wipe Away's in the board. Yeah, I think the plan is like wipe away this Merit Lodge token, and then just play Sphinx of the Final Word and crash in 4 times, hoping that's good enough. Mm, seems like a hard cast Force of Negation on that. Fossil, I'm supposed to pitch the Merchant Scroll there. F. This isn't actually all that bad, though. Like, they probably take my Cunning Wish, and then I Merchant Scroll for the Archmage's Charm. Unless they, like, have a Spirit Guide. I'm in the same position as last turn where I'm pretty safe. Not dead is accurate. I don't know that I'm favored, but I'm certainly not dead. Ooh, they took the High Tide. They have the Spirit Guide. I am dead to it with the High Tide gone, though. Was not dead to it with the High Tide in hand. Excuse me. I'm just gonna pass. If they can actually make the Merit Lodge, I could turn about and tap it down for a turn. Is that worth a Force of Will? I don't know. I guess it like takes one of these and I still have the other. But I can keep both and pitch this turnabout. Really tough. I think I'd rather have 2 pieces of protection against Merit Lodge. Fuck! I need to draw a land. I did not draw a land, so I should be dead. I needed a land for Archmage's Charm. That is exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to spike the like exact two cards that I need, one of which is a one of. Okay, now opponent knows that I am deterministically dead if this card is not an answer to Merit Lodge at 2 mana. Which it is not. High Tide has never been the deck to beat faster combo decks. Like, you are the deck that is looking to outgrind the, like, very slow blue decks that don't have a good clock. Or, like, fair white green decks that can't really interact with you much. Like, you are going to, like, stomp the shit out of decks like Death and Taxes and Maverick on average. Especially Death and Taxes, like, that is a rough matchup for D&T because you have so few cards that they actually care about. And even something like Thalia, they can just play through with a second High Tide. It is rough. But at the very least, we've already broken even on this league, so got that going for us. Come on, Q. Get me in there. Alright. See if we can make a 4-1 out of High Tide. I'm just looking for a couple of lands to start things off. I'll bottom that. Preordain's not a land, but it's something that can help me find that land, so I think I'm good with that. Just awkward that, like, this is a High Tide hand that is going to be, like, very poor against Wasteland. Speak of the devil. That helps a bit. I wonder if I brainstorm now in order to put this back. I think I do. I also wonder if this is a game where I just like resolve a Sphinx and like that's the way that I win. It is kind of looking like it. Just on like 4 lands, go like a couple of high tides to turnabout and sinks. I think I'm game for it. I think I'm going to throw back some of my more expensive stuff. I don't want the Cunning Wish, and then I'm not sure if I want to throw back the Merchant Scroll or the Time Spiral. I think I'm going to keep the Time Spiral as like just another plan to have access to. I'm not going to concern myself with trying to like use my Force of Wills to fight my opponent's stuff. The plan is just one Sphinxy boy as of right now. Why'd you have to blind flip? Now I'm scared. That's so much more pressure than one. It's 3 times as much pressure. Unshuffled with that ponder. On 4 mana, I can go High Tide Turnabout Sphinx, and I can just attempt that next turn. Pretty good. Sure would, Fine and Andy. Sure would. So Mednogard, thank you very much for your continued support, up to 5 months. Let's go High Tide indeed. Unfortunate. I played around double days by playing my land prior to, well, I guess I played around days and double days by playing the land prior to that. That's okay. Just unfortunate that now I can't like get the High Tide back and just do the Sphinx again. I can just rip another high tide and be totally fine. Oh wait, that's only true if the Delver doesn't flip, right? I know they have a lightning bolt. I have to rip a new high tide. Yep, that is one card too late, unfortunately. So assuming the Delver doesn't flip, I take 4. I play a Sphinx. My opponent attacks me down to 1. I die to the lightning bolt that's in their hand. Like I'm at 4. They bolt. I block a Delver. The other Delver kills me. In like the ideal world where I play the Sphinx on the next turn. I guess I have to attempt High Tide Time Spiral next turn off of Mystic Sanctuary. Then I have like hard cast Force of Will for this lightning bolt. I guess. I can't pitch cast this because like I'm gonna go to 5 here. Yeah, I can't pitch cast this and I can't fetch for the rest of the game. So it's a weird one. While we're waiting to see if I'm dead this turn, I do want to take this opportunity to mention that the donation queue is open for August at this point. Details are under the stream. We're up to $15 for a normal legacy deck submission now. I increased the price ever so slightly because a lot of the decks that I'm playing on stream just are not winning in the current metagame. And then it's $20 for Brews, like untested decks, Death and Taxes, and decks where you expect me to lose when you have me play them, such as Pox. Oh, Red Hot. I'll make sure to check on that later today. All right. Well, let's see if we can win. Seems very unlikely. We lose to just about everything. Like we lose to a lightning bolt later. Yeah, I'd be happy to take a modern deck list at this point. Follow the same guidelines as Legacy. So like if it's a like well-established tier 1 deck, like the $15 price point is fine. But if it's something you've brewed up or like it's not a great deck list, assume $20. For you Moto peeps, I'm absolutely willing to also take donations in the form of like various Magic Online currencies. Because I'm looking to repopulate the old collection. And now I have no idea. Order for spells. Everything is like very much complicated by the fact that I cannot fetch. I can Merchant Scroll for a High Tide or Merchant Scroll for a Turnabout. Let's assume that this is my starting point. No? Seems like no. I don't think I can afford to take the Pact. Like, it's very hard for me to, like, go off from current circumstances. Merchant Scroll for High Tide is probably the line. And we have Brainstorm plus Predict to get rid of these fetch lands. I need an untapper. I mean, an untapper. Look, I'm very aware that I'm dead to a lot of things. I'm very aware. Fuck. Are you tapping for 3 or 4? 3. Okay, so I still have Time Spiral as the like ultimate backup. This is stressful. Yes. Fuck. Dear Edaz, I will go out on my own terms. Thank you. Rats! You're so close. I don't think I am able to go off that turn keeping the pact. Like, I think I needed to be fishing for cards that actually help me win at that stage. Alright. I think I'm good with Fluster. And maybe Force of Negation. I think I don't want Intuition. And I think I'll shave a Predict. I think that's it. Like, I don't know that I want Pact badly enough that I want, like, yet another one of those effects. And, like, Pact resolving is kind of spooky, in case I fizzle. Yes, I have tried the reset version of High Tide. I have not played enough of both versions to make authoritative claims on, like, the advantages and disadvantages of each build, though. Yeah, to both. I think I'm good with both. Like the reset high tide deck was like fun when I played it. Like there's something very silly about like trying to go off like with lethal on the stack, so to speak. Oh, feel like feel like we try to say no to that. If they use some early if they use some of their things to defend this, that's like pressure taken off of my good cards. And if this doesn't resolve, it buys me a lot of time. Yeah. So for example, now I can play this merchant scroll safely with without like having to deal with days. I haven't played enough to know whether I'm supposed to take high tide or turnabout there. Delver didn't blind flip. I have that going for me. You kind of need to find some stuff to do. Bell Snare does not seem particularly strong against me, but it's probably good enough. I wonder if I Cunning Wish for Archmage's Charm and try to take their Delver. I'm like only half joking, because my hand like sure is not comboing off anytime soon. I can't help myself. So I Archmage's Charm on their turn, try to get them to fight over protecting this Delver, and then just high tide time spiral. It's so good. Get him. This is my Delver. Ha ha ha! I got it. That's a better clock than my clock by a lot. But like that's a 4 turn clock instead of a 2 turn clock now, so like I'm good. I'm good with that. I don't think I'm attacking anymore. I think I just like treat the Delver as a jump block. Gain 2 life. I think High Tide is often a control deck rather than a combo deck. Like, it's a control deck with a combo finish, but all the control is happening on the stack. This block's embarrassing if my opponent has second Hooning Mandrills. Blue card. Blue card. High Tide, Time Spiral with one counterspell. Good enough. I don't super see it getting better. I also just like die a lightning bolt if my opponent has that. You wish you were on the multicolor version against the Wasteland deck? I don't know about that. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Effort 3, 3, 6, 9. Just play Sphinx and call it good. Like, continue to, like, dig for an untapper. Hold on, did I overtap there? Oh, this only takes 2 lands. Forgot about High Tide. The beefy Sphinx is here. Everyone can rest easy. I mean, uh, huh. I think I can do both. Take Merchant Scroll and Sphinx after Preordain, untap, and then try to like continue to go off from there. Yeah, I realized that I should have done something else right after I did it. Made the predict better. Is this just a kill? Merchant Scroll, Cunning Wish, Brain Freeze? Only need lethal is 14? Yes, that is lethal. Fine and Andy, thank you very much for gifting subs to friends of the channel. Oh no, do they actually have triple lightning bolt, which kills me from 9? God damn it. Okay. Okay. Alright, good. Now I'm not dead. I got scared for a second there, because like triple lightning bolt was one of the ways that I died. A little low on clock for game 3 if I win via combo. Alright, good. Not Delver on turn 1. Um, I'm good with both. Oh god, no. Absolutely not. Yep. Rough. I don't think I can beat a resolved library. Unless... I have a plan to beat a resolved library. I'll hit them twice with this large bird. I think it's okay being called a bird. Certainly bird-like. So I'm going to attempt High Tide Turnabout Sphinx next turn. My opponent is smart, they play around it by countering the turnabout, but not like people have a lot of reps in versus High Tide. I think I'm going to end of their turn Cunning Wish for something and see what happens. Possible I was supposed to upkeep Cunning Wish there, actually, because Sylvan Library lets them filter their draws more than normal. Hard cast, Force of Negation. I play around Daze by playing Turnabout, by playing Misty Rainforest. I think I want to play Misty and not Crack. Because then if Turnabout gets like Force of Willed or something, I just get Mystic Sanctuary to put it back on top. 3, 6, 7. Or 6, 7, so it still works. All right, so we have the High Tide next turn very easily. like High Tide Sphinx again. Oh wait, hold on. Does that work? It's only 6. Still think I'd take it back now. Predict versus just cast it. I think I'm really hoping to draw another land and just resolve the Sphinx. I think I'm just going to draw it. Change my mind. I'm going to predict myself in my second main phase. Okay. We get to make a Sphinx. It only needs to hit once. It is a 1-turn clock. We're dead to opponent countering High Tide. They have 5 cards in hand. Oh, actually, I'm not dead, am I? I just Mystic Sanctuary and try again. This game is hilarious. Damn. Okay, if opponent doesn't have Bolt or Chain Lightning, I can just draw a land and hardcast this next turn. So land or High Tide lets me cast this Sphinx. That's not good enough now. Oh my god. Let this one resolve. For justice. Let this High Tide resolve. God damn it! Fuck Delver! No! No! Let it resolve. Let it resolve. Come on. I need this. Damn it. Don't know how you beat 3/4 of wills like 3 turns in a row for attempting Sphinx. Like, I get it. GG's. Alright. That was a fun league. I enjoyed that one a lot. Yeah, I mean, I did call it very early on that once that library resolved, we were going to be in trouble. But like, we presented our opponent, I think, 4 different turns where if they didn't counter our thing, we won. So like, I'm good with where things stand after this league. Like this was a very fun league, and we had like very interesting games today. Um, that last round was particularly interesting because like the Sphinx was giving us outs to like a very difficult situation, and if our opponent didn't have like 3 of the 4 Force of Wills, we probably win. Last week, last months. This was actually like a very enjoyable stream. um, I think Magic Online is like going down for downtime like any second now, so I'm not gonna do an extended debrief here. I will say that I want Snap in the board very badly. That's like the one card that I felt like I was missing the whole league. So I would probably like cut Narset's Reversal. It just seems cute. Like cut Narset's Reversal for a Snap, and I think I'd be pretty good with running this back. Yeah, downtime is a thing that occurs during normal people hours. All right, I think I'm going to call it there. Folks, if this is your first time here for Legacy content, please follow the channel. I'm streaming Legacy pretty frequently, and the VODs end up on YouTube afterwards on the ThrabenU channel. And if you're really enjoying it, please consider doing a donation deck list. We have a lot of slots open for August. And now that I actually have time, that Grixis guy, Cartesian, Pain 292, Sapaskai, Neo Tanya, Yin Yang 05. Thank you all for following. Oh, as well as Neville Shoot and 2 syllables there? Garrowill? Garrowill? Regardless, thank you all for following this stream. I think High Tide probably falls into the $20 tier, yeah. Like, we had a very good run with High Tide today, but I don't know. I didn't sit down expecting to win my matches this league, right? Like, I expected to have fun while playing High Tide, but I don't know. I'm always happy to like take those questions individually. If you ever have any questions about like price point for leagues. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Have a great rest of the day, folks.